and welcome to the Riders Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Steve Sommerfeld, and we're going to have a look at the X Games invites for 2022. They've finally come out, and actually, there was only a few names up on the X Games website. There was a couple of teasers from Harry Bink and Sheehan who didn't have their name on the X Games website, so I was like, alright, I'm going to go through and look at every single rider's individual Instagram or Facebook account or TikTok, whatever, and see who is on. Today, just before I did, luckily, I went to xgames.com and there it was. All of the invites finally released 1 month before. So that's not too bad. I'm going to go through all of those names, who's there, who's missing, and maybe give a few indications on what could happen this year as well. But before we get into that, just a very quick sponsor shout out, of course, to my good friends over at the Rothaus Tannenzäpfler Brewery in Germany. Thank you very much for keeping me locked and loaded with all of the Tannenzäpfler alcohol-free beers. And Red Bull Spect Eyewear. I finally got to use their goggles that I picked up about 6 months ago. Not on a motocross bike, but I did get to go on a ride on some Indians and Harleys last weekend. So yeah, that was a little bit different to be testing out the goggles there, but man, they were good. They were comfy. It's still a few months before I can ride a dirt bike again, so that was the best I could do. All right, now let's check out who's in and who's out of these competitions. Straight up, first one, the big one, Freestyle Motocross. Of course, all the gold medal winners will be invited from last year, and nothing has changed there. Luc Ackermann, the surprise winner in 2021 when the competition was at Slayground. He is back, or at least he's been invited to come back. That's a start. Sheehan, of course, who was second last year, and Rob Adelberg in third, as well as Harry Bink, Taka Higashino, David Rinaldo, Jacko Strong. That's 7. And the 8th rider, bit of a surprise here, but Axell Hodges will be going into Freestyle Motocross. Now, that's a very interesting call. There's a lot of riders who could be there. Of course, this competition will be at his home, but what will the course look like? That's probably a very big question as to why Axell's in this comp. I know he's got a lot of crazy tricks that nobody else would ever even think of attempting. Like that backflip wheeling out of the ramp. That was awesome. Lands on everything, standing on his seat. Like that's just common. That's just basic for Axell these days. But are they going to use a bit more of the Slayground compound, a bit more of the freeride jumps? There was talk of having a full freeride comp there. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but it says Freestyle Motocross. So I would assume they're still using roughly the same course as last year, but there could be some bonus jumps in there as well. Who's missing out of this comp? Well, Benny Richards, he's out, but basically that was the exact same rider lineup from last year, minus Benny Richards. And if you remember, he unfortunately had the worst possible start that you could have coming into X Games, just not negotiating that I think it was the next gen ramp, but it wasn't placed very well from what I've heard. So he was unluckily the test dummy who took a couple of dirt samples and unfortunately didn't get an invite back this year. Also, a big name, very, very big name who's not there that you would have noticed, Tom Pages. Now, is Tom retired? He's never said anything, but we haven't seen Tom in competition for a very long time. I hope we do get to see Tom back at it in Freestyle Motocross, but he is not there this time. Two other names that sprung to mind very quickly. Michael Malero, not there as well. One of probably the most diverse riders in terms of your all-out freestyle tricks. He's got the double backy now and front flips and quarter pipe tricks and body varials and kind of everything. So no Malero again at X Games, and Pat Bowden also not getting a shot at Freestyle Motocross, and another one of those riders who has just a huge bag of tricks, but probably depending on if those big ramps come, like the moon booter at Nitro. We've all seen what Pat can do on that. Even the moon booter front flip ramp. So I'm guessing those ramps won't be at X Games this year. So unfortunately, Pat also won't be there to try them out, even if they were. Best trick. It's almost looking again like the same rider lineup as last year. Rob Adelberg, who won last year, of course. David Rinaldo in second. Harry Bink in third from last year. They're all coming back. Luc Ackermann, Sheehan, and Jacko Strong will be in best trick this year. One name missing from it that was there last year, J.O. Archer, who is back on the bike, but didn't get an invite. Again, Tom Pages, I'm throwing his name out there only because we know he has been the innovator in freestyle motocross for the last 10 years, 15 years. He is getting a little bit, long in the tooth, but still, you never know what Tom could ever come up with. And another name that I'd love to see back, if he's got something to bring, of course, if he wants to, would be Davey Johnson, who came out with the Decade Air at Nitro a couple of years ago. But if you also remember back a fair few years ago, he also had the vault, I think, that he attempted off of a quarter pipe. So that would be another rider I'd love to see there. But the big one in best trick, from what we saw last year, only one rider out of that group there actually came up with a new trick. And that was David Rinaldo with that bobby spin. And it only got him a second position behind Adelberg with the front flip, of course. Now, will Rinaldo go back to the foam pit? Well, he did tell us he was going back into the foam pit, try and work something out for best trick this year. Or will one of these other guys, will Luke come with something new? Will Jacko come out with something fresh? I don't know. We're going to have to find out in only 1 month. Now, best whip. Tom Parsons, who won last year, of course, will be back. Wanky, who was second, and Tyler Berriman, who was third. They'll all be there. Pretty much, again, we're looking at the same rider lists. Corey Creed will be there. Axell Hodges, Jared McNeil, Sheeny again, and Julian Van Stippen, who was the surprise on the podium in Japan X Games a little bit earlier this year. So I think he picked up a bronze and managed to grab himself an invite for the big one, X Games Best Whip in America. One name missing out of that, Colby Raha. But we'll find out if he gets to ride a little bit later on. Well, actually, let's just go straight into that. Quarter pipe, that's where we'll see Colby, of course. He won quarter pipe last year over Axell Hodges on his home turf. So first, second, and third was Tyler Berriman from last year, and he'll be back as well. Corey Creed will finally get to have another crack at it. Last year he crashed out the day before, I think it was, in training. So Corey Creed is back. Cole Denny, who missed out on an invite up until about 2 days before the event, he's well and truly locked in now. It's 1 month out. He knows he's in. Imagine what he can do with some training, because he almost grabbed a podium last year. And Jared McNeil. Two names that are not on that list. Tom Parsons, who rode there last year, and the same question and the same thing that we came up with last year, one rider I thought should have had a bit of a crack is Guillem Navas. And I actually just found out his name's Guillem Navas. Turns out I didn't know the Spanish way of saying it. So sorry about that, Guillem. So yeah, I called him Guillem. I guess if you read it in English, that's what you're going to pick up. But again, he's not there. One of the few Euro guys. I think he's got the only X Games quarter pipe built in Europe, and he throws down on that thing. He goes big, so I'm surprised not to see his name again. And in the 110s, Axell Hodges, who won it last year, of course. In second last year, Colby Raha, he's back for it again, and Jared McNeil in third last year. Joining them will be Pat Casey, Banks Hovey, Tim Ritson, and a new name that I'm actually really pumped to see on this one Dice Suzuki. So sounds like Dice has spent a bit of time maybe to get his 110s down. So that's cool to see the Japanese rider filling in there. And one rider who is out will be Tyler Berriman. So at the end of all of that, almost the same riders list that we saw from 2021. Not too many changes, but let's see what the guys have learned over the last year. A lot has happened in 1 year, and we know that because coming into the 2021 event, no one was really prepared for it. But coming into this year, something tells me most of these guys have really knuckled down because they want to go home with that X Games gold medal. That's the one to get. One other name that I haven't seen is the commentator. I haven't got an invite yet for calling the game over there. No Steve Sommerfeld. Damn. But actually what I might do is try and do a bit of a companion with Clint Esposito. So we've had a chat about it. We're going to have a few more chats about it because it's coming up in 1 month. And if we work out what we're going to do with the technical side of it, I will keep you posted on that one because I'd love to just get on a call with Clint. He is just so damn funny. He just comes up with the craziest shit. And I already told him, I wish we could join Jimmy Coleman and Mike Mason in the commentary box. That would be fucking awesome. But anyway, not to be, but let's see if we do a companion for X Games 2022. It will be held at Slayground. I did double check on their website that you can watch it. There's 15 hours of the best X Games competitions from July 22 to 24 on ESPN, ABC, and ESPN2, as well as the ESPN Plus and ESPN app. All competitions will stream live on ESPN Plus and will be available on X Games YouTube. Now, I don't know if that means we get to watch on X Games YouTube live or if we will just get the highlights at the end of the competition. We'll find out. It wasn't specific. It will be a closed competition to the public again, so there will be no spectators in attendance. So we're all just going to have to sit at home and watch the live stream from wherever the hell you can. And if you need to get a VPN, maybe start looking at that as well. Awesome. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. This was just a quick one. I wanted to throw out the invites because, like I said, there was only a few names only a few days ago, and I was about to start guessing, and I'm kind of glad that X Games took that away from me. I don't need to guess because the names are there. See you guys soon, and we'll do a full wrap-up of the competition after. Catch you later.